Welcome back everybody to my latest Q&A where I answer your questions. Before I get to the first question, a couple of quick announcements. First up, if you haven't subscribed to the Freakin Reviews newsletter, do so now. It doesn't cost anything and you get new video alerts, deals, tips, and more. Next up, I've recently relaunched the Freakin 2 channel where I do kind of fun food reviews, so if you haven't checked that out, please do so as well. And with that, let's get right to the first question. This person asks, all-time favorite product that you did not purchase? Now, off the top of my head, the first thing that comes to mind is the Elle wallet. That one came to my P.O. box unsolicited one day. I think it's been 5 years ago, maybe more. I did it in a mail time video and I've been using it ever since. I have it in my pocket right now. I've tested other wallets over the years and every time I do, I just can't wait to get back to my wallet. I recommend this one all the time and I don't think I can go back to another type of wallet after using it. Okay, a member question here. This person asks, how long did it take to get comfortable basically talking out loud to yourself? It's kind of funny, after the first couple of years I thought I had pretty much fully matured on camera, but looking back I don't think I did. So now in retrospect, after 9 years of doing it, I would say it took me about 200 videos to get fully comfortable on camera and then another 200 to kind of evolve from there, but I still think I'm kind of evolving. I'm almost at 1,000 videos now and I think after another 1,000 I'll probably be different than I am now. Brad Ass TV asks, do you still edit and upload your own videos, make graphics, etc.? Now, in general, the answer is yes. I do all my filming, I do most of my editing, I do all my thumbnails. I don't edit or post my reels or shorts, and on a rare occasion, I'll have someone help me edit a long form video, but maybe 1 or 2 a year. To me, part of the creative process is the editing, so it's hard for me to give that up. This person asks, do you still use the purple pillow or purple mattress? Now, I still use the mattress. I still love it. I still recommend it all the time. The pillow I use for a good couple of years. But I've reviewed so many pillows over the years, eventually this one kind of got kicked to the back of the line. The other weird thing about the purple pillow is that sometimes, even though it had a cover on it, I'd wake up with this weird hex pattern on my head. Maybe that's only unique to bald people, but I didn't like walking around with a big hex pattern that sometimes took a couple hours to go away. This person wants to know if I think shorts will ruin YouTube for longer, more traditional length format creators. Now, I think YouTube's done a pretty good job recently of separating shorts and long form content on channel pages. They still have it kind of mixed up on the home feed. But if you remember when they first started out, shorts were just kind of mixed in with all the long form content on channel pages. It looked terrible. That's the reason I launched a second shorts channel, just to keep them separate. But nowadays, they're actually doing a pretty good job on the channel pages to keep them separate. But to answer your question, I do think that shorts can negatively affect the channel if it's built around shorts in the first place. Some people seem to think they can take a shortcut and just build a bunch of followers with shorts and then switch over to long form content. That usually doesn't work. Those viewers want to see shorts, not long form content, and then that creator is stuck doing shorts only. I think shorts have a place, but I wouldn't rely on them too much if I was trying to build a channel. This member asks, has your channel gone the way you hoped it would? Is there anything you would have done different looking back? Now, originally it was just as seen on TV products. That's all I really reviewed. If it was something that wasn't as seen on TV, it was kind of a weird video for me. I didn't expect the as seen on TV industry to basically disappear the way it has over the last several years. Fortunately, Amazon, Wish, Temu, social media have all kind of filled in the void. In the early days, I kind of rushed through my videos. I didn't spend a lot of time on some of the products. I wish I would look in retrospect, but on the other hand, my frequent posting probably helped me build my channel faster. This person wants to know if I was friends with the band Second Echo, and actually the answer is yes. Casey is a friend of mine. We actually had lunch together a few months ago. There was a brief period of time where I almost joined them as kind of like a backup bass player. So yeah, great band, great music. Casey's a great songwriter. He's a great musician. He can play a whole bunch of different instruments. He can pretty much do everything. Member question says, you mentioned you watch a lot of science channels. Do you have some oddball ones that aren't like the others? I would say there's not really any weird science channels that I watch, but I do go through kind of sessions of binging different types of content. Lately, I've been watching a lot of Sudoku puzzle solving videos, kind of oddly enough. I've also been watching a lot of Alan Watts videos, without music, by the way. And next week, it'll probably be something completely different. Colleen Smith 123 asks, just wondering if you still have the Tovala and did you use it much after you reviewed it? I want to say I used the Tovala for a good 2 years. In fact, I had their meal plan for probably 6 or 8 months. What happened was I moved out of that apartment after about 2 years, and then once I moved, I really didn't have the counter space here for it, so I stopped using it at that point. Not because there's anything wrong with it, I just had no room for it at that point. This person wants to know if I'd shave my beard or review a beard trimmer. I'll shave down to less facial hair, but I ain't gonna shave it all off. Back in the early days, I shaved almost completely off, and I won't do that again. I look funny without a beard. One particular member asked me a bunch of questions, and I'm gonna try to answer as many of those as I can, as quickly as I can. Phonics VR, are you ever gonna change your profile photo here on YouTube? It's been the same one since I subbed long ago. Yeah, that's funny, I know I need to change it, but every time I go to change it, I can't really decide on something, so I just leave it. Any plans on doing a 1-year review on member items? I think what I'm going to do, which I've actually just told members this as well, is at the 2-year mark that from launching my memberships, I'm probably going to do like an overview of everything and kind of update everybody in one fell swoop. Look for a single video that updates 2 years of products. That should come around July. Are you surprised by how many people say a gadget doesn't suck because it benefits those with strokes or disabilities? I mean, I understand why people say that, but I'm focused on how the product's being marketed, and it's not being marketed to those people. If it were marketed to those people, I'd probably review it completely differently. Were you surprised when people were more interested in you as a person over the items you reviewed? Now, I've heard that over the years, and I kind of find it hard to believe. I think there's a certain subset of viewers who do feel that way, but I think most people still want to see if these products work or not. This person asks, what's one product that at first glance looks so simple you didn't think it would work, but ended up being great at its function? Now, I've mentioned the bowl huggers before, those are great, but something else comes to mind is the zip quicker, which is just a kind of a piece of plastic. I didn't really think much of that one, but when you need an extra pair of hands for scooping or pouring, it actually works quite well for that. It's still in my kitchen and I still use it once in a while. Couple of similar questions here. What is your favorite place you have lived and why? Another person asks, could you see yourself living anywhere but Vegas? Now, when I think of best places I've lived, I have to include the time with that as well, because living in Southern California in the 80s, that was a great place and time to be there. Same with Vegas in the 90s. It was really fun there to be here in the 90s when you saw the city growing. I love the rain. I love warmth, I love oceans. I've looked into Hawaii, Puerto Rico, and Florida. All those places have challenges that I'm not sure I'm ready to face yet. But living in the same city for 31 years, that's a long time. This next question, the person's asking what my everyday carry is. What can I not leave the house without? This might kind of sound funny, but I'm already laughing. I can't leave the house without dental floss. I have to have floss or floss picks or something somewhere. I have a thing about flossing my teeth. I can't stand having anything stuck in my teeth. As long as I can remember, since I started driving 40 years ago, I find myself flossing my teeth at traffic lights. It's a thing. I know it's weird, that's my thing. Here's two similar questions, one from member Phonics VR and another one from a non-member. Have you thought about, after a year, of making your member reviews public? The other person asked, would you ever repost your videos that were for channel members for everyone to see? For right now, the answer is no. I'm not planning to do that. But if something happens where I need surgery, I have to go out of town on an emergency, I have to have a long delay, I probably will post some of those to kind of fill the gap. If for some reason I have to have an extended absence. Now, I did tell my son, though, if something ever happens to me, to post those videos over time so the channel can kind of sustain for a while, but hopefully that doesn't have to happen. Liberty Nathan asks if there's a product I regret reviewing. The first thing that comes to mind is the USB dishwasher. Now, that's one I reviewed several years ago. Around that time, someone else on a more popular channel had reviewed a similar item that went in the bottom of the sink. The one I reviewed goes in the side. So everybody assumed I was doing it wrong. Even after I posted screenshots of the listing on Amazon, screenshots of the manual, people still didn't want to admit that I did it right. The fact that it became such a big issue maybe wish I hadn't done the video in the first place. This person wants to know if anyone's ever offered to buy my channel. If so, what would be a ballpark figure you would allow for the channel to be sold? I don't know if I have a monetary amount in mind for that. It'd be probably more than anybody wants to offer me for it. If I'm gonna sell my channel, it's gonna be for a lot. Almost on a weekly basis though, I get offers from people that want to license my back catalog, and they never offer me anything even close to what those videos still make. I would also be afraid of licensing my content because I would hate to see it show up in ads for things that I don't endorse. So at this point, unless someone offers me a ton of money, I ain't selling. Rich San Diego 1969 asks, what is my favorite place to eat in Las Vegas? I'm not sure if I have one favorite, but I have several. Pasta Mia over by the Palms is definitely my go-to place for pasta. Pizza Rock at Green Valley Ranch, Momo Sushi over in Henderson. The Yard House down at Town Square is excellent. My favorite place of all probably isn't in Vegas, it's in Boulder City, and that's the Southwest Diner. This member asks, what, if any, product would you like to test but are unable to due to other circumstances? The most recent example I can think of is the socket fan. It's a ceiling fan that plugs into a light socket in your ceiling. I don't have any ceiling lights in my house, so I really couldn't test that in a real world situation. I considered trying other ways, but nothing really felt realistic enough for me to test it out, so I didn't test that one. This member asks, where were you on September 11, 2001? I was working at home. My phone rang early in the morning and I got up and I was kind of angry. I was like, what's the big emergency? It was a friend of mine and he was like, have you watched the news? I was like, no, I was just sleeping, so of course I haven't watched the news. So he told me what's going on and I was like, what? That's right, I think I said, what? Maybe not. I wouldn't turn Howard Stern on because I figured Howard Stern's in New York. He would be saying something about it. Forgetting that it's on a delay, so the show hadn't got to that point, so I didn't listen to Howard Stern that day, but I would have. I listened to it later. I've listened to the show several times over the years later. But no, like most people, I just kind of sat there blankly staring at the news for about 5 straight days. The one thing I remember the most later in that day and the ensuing several days is there was no planes in the air. That's the one thing that really, it was just kind of weird for me. Because here in Vegas, we have kind of a flight path near the neighborhood I lived in at the time. No planes, that was weird. Just for the record, this is how I look on the same date. If we're looking 10 years from now. Look how old. There's the head. I wonder how bald it's going to be then. Probably be completely empty. This person wants to know if I would do a comparison between Oreos and Hydrox. I think a lot of people don't realize that Oreos were originally a knockoff of Hydrox cookies. Oreo came later, but they just had better marketing. Years ago, I wrote an article about Hydrox versus Oreo cookies, but I've never actually tried Hydrox, so maybe I should. This person asks, what happened to your smaller doggie? I think she was a girl and blind or deaf. Haven't seen her in ages. I'm happy to report that Miss Elle is still alive and well at 16 years old. I'll go find her and film her for a second here. Now, Elle's never really been one to like the camera. In fact, if I hold a camera up to her, she usually gets kind of scared. Besides being kind of camera shy, she's doing pretty well. But she's been deaf since birth, but that hasn't really seemed to bother her. She seems pretty healthy. She hasn't really changed in all the years I've had her. So Chihuahuas live a long time and she's doing quite well. This person wants to know, how long do you plan on doing YouTube for? Now, back in the early days, if you'd asked me that, I probably would have said maybe about 7 years, you know, the 7-year itch. I figured by then people would get sick of me or I'd get sick of YouTube. But that hasn't really happened yet. So at this point, I know I definitely have to make it to my 10-year anniversary in 2026. I probably want to make it to my 60th birthday in 2028. I don't think I'm ever going to fully retire. I might post less and less. I don't think I ever want to completely stop making videos. This person asked, do you prefer editing on the computer or the phone? I prefer to edit on a desktop computer. I will do it on a laptop if I have to, but if I had to edit on my phone, I'd probably find another job. I don't like doing that at all. This member asks, what is your favorite album of all time? What's your favorite TV show of all time? And what's your biggest influence to start doing reviews? But let me think about this for 1 second. I'm gonna say Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, Marvin Gaye, What's Going On, AC/DC, Back in Black, Tears for Fears, Songs from the Big Chair, Simply Red, Picture Book, and Tesseract, Altered State. Favorite TV show? Taxi. Influence doing reviews? Pretty much no one. I never really watched reviews before I started doing them. This person asks if I can stop repeating an observation. Not all of us have OCD. First of all, I don't know what you're talking about. When you're doing a review in real time, you kind of have to give your observations and sometimes you repeat yourself. Second of all, if I did know what you're talking about, I would do it more just to spite you. And third, to quote Mike Tyson, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk. If you don't like it, turn off your station. Member question asks if I prefer Taco Bell or Del Taco. If you look at my eating habits over the last 40 years, I would say I've chosen Del Taco over Taco Bell. There's just something about those green burritos. Can't get past it. They also have Coke products, which I prefer over Pepsi. I like them both, but I'd say Del Taco has a slight advantage to me over Taco Bell. This person asked, would I ever consider writing a book or doing meet and greets? Now, I originally toyed with the idea of doing a book on the ASEAN TV industry, but once I kind of got into it, it seemed like a way too big of a task for me. I'm afraid if I did a meet and greet, I'd probably outnumber the number of people that show up for me, which would be 0. A couple of similar questions about foods that I won't eat, and also what my favorite cheese is. Now, I pretty much like most foods. The only 2 things I really don't like are sauerkraut and onions. I'll eat onions, but I don't really like them. Sauerkraut, I will not eat it. I can't eat something that smells like that. I was traumatized as a kid just by the smell alone, so I will never eat sauerkraut. I don't even get near it. As far as my favorite cheese goes, my kind of everyday cheese is sharp cheddar. But I do like Port Salut whenever I can find it. That's kind of hard to find though, but I do like that one. This person asked, would it be easier for you to give up meat, sugar, or caffeine? It'd be easy for me to give up meat. I once gave it up for like 9 months and barely even missed it, except for maybe on pepperoni pizza. That would be kind of tough to give up. Otherwise, I don't really eat that much meat to begin with. This person asked, besides the BedJet, what is your favorite Shark Tank product that you have continued to use after testing it? Now, I honestly haven't had a lot of luck with Shark Tank products over the years. A lot of them either weren't of interest or I weren't very good. The food products, a lot of those I've liked, but as far as products goes, not that many. The first thing that comes to mind to me would be the Drop Stop, which is the gap filler for cars. That one I used several years ago. I continue to use this day. It's one of those things that once you've used it, it would be hard to go without it. Jamie James 2338 asks if I've ever been asked to work as a product tester for a company or a consultant. One of the ASEAN TV companies years ago was going to pay me to evaluate their prototypes, but that never happened. A few years ago, a pretty major kitchen brand, who I'm not going to mention, paid me a very paltry amount to give my thoughts on countertop ovens. But what's interesting is they never came out with one, so I don't know if my input made a difference or not, but that's all I can really think of. This person asks about my favorite makes and models of bass guitars and what my ideal bass would be if I could have one. Now, my prized possession is my PB300 Carvin bass I bought in late 1986 direct from the factory, and it's still in pristine condition. I played a lot of Fenders over the years. Fender P bass is kind of the bread and butter of bass guitars. If I could design my own bass guitar, it would be kind of a hybrid fretted and fretless. I would have the top two strings with frets and the bottom two strings fretless. I know it's kind of weird, but I'd love to play something like that. I got a childhood friend who actually makes guitars for a living. I keep thinking one of these days I'm gonna call up and see if he can make one for me. That'd be kind of cool. This person asks, will you put out merch with "We Shall See" on it? Now that's funny, I should. Maybe I should also have some that say, "It's chaos in here," or "Oh, come on now." If anybody has any idea for designs, I'm all ears. Well, that's it as far as this Q&A goes. That was an interesting set of questions. I'll be back in about another month in my next Q&A. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.